So the college basketball season is coming up. You know, it's really starting to confuse me why college basketball isn't more popular. Basketball is the biggest sport in the United States, and most people usually attend a college. So why the heck isn't the sport more popular? The NBA season has been utterly pointless the past 4 seasons because we kept getting the Cavs vs Warriors in every single NBA Finals. Now most people usually complain about how the game is too slow in college, and there isn't enough scoring, and the players aren't as good. Blah 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 blah. Now most of that stuff is kinda true. But I think the thing that could shy some fans away is how we see the same schools winning every single year. And for this video, we get to talk about the one school that everyone hates. Freaking Duke. Now college basketball is my favorite sport and I don't cheer for any specific school. But today I have to rant against these guys and why most of the population hates them. I myself always lean in the middle no matter what school it is. But even from time to time, I too get a little tired of Duke. So why do people hate Duke? I know I hate them because every time I pick them in my bracket they let me down, but every time I don't pick them they end up winning the tournament. This video isn't technically me hating on Duke, I'm just looking into why people do. But they've had me thinking for a while what caused the hate. It is probably the flopping. Or it is the officials loving them. No, it has to be the floor slapping. Or maybe it's them just taking charges. Okay, now all of these are things that teams do. So what exactly is it? Well, first, let's start with a couple of things. Now first off, when Coach K got to Duke, they had a 3-year period from 1980 through 1983 of not making the NCAA tournament, and 2 of those they had a losing record. It's not like this team started out amazing, but what people don't know that well is they actually made 4 Final Fours and made 2 national championship games before Coach K. Anyone who says Duke wasn't really a great basketball program before Coach K is kinda wrong. Now that could be a reason, but maybe it's the fact that Duke has not missed the NCAA tournament except for 1 year in the 1994-1995 season. That was when Coach K had surgery, so he missed a lot of games. I think the fact that everyone is always talking about them during the postseason is a big factor to why fans get so upset about them. Fans want respect for their team doing extremely well, while people are all talking about Duke even though they are not national championship favorites. I recently watched a video on the Dan Patrick Show with Jay Billis, and he said the reason people hate Duke is because the media really started covering sports back in the 1980s, and his Duke team was a fun group of guys that the media loved and really covered them a lot. And that upset many schools because they felt no different than Duke and weren't getting any buzz at all. Now that ties into another reason people hate Duke, which could be because of the players they have. If you've ever heard of Christian Laettner, literally everyone in college basketball hated this guy unless you were a Duke fan. No one liked this guy because he was a player who didn't back down from anything. He could come at anyone and it always felt like this kid had everything go right for him, and it really made people mad all the time. But the thing is that people used to like Christian Laettner and Duke. But once they won their first championship in 1991 and just kept winning, then people started hating them. You can see this all the time in sports. The Warriors, Alabama football, and the Patriots were all teams that hadn't won for a while and were built up from the ground, but basically everyone still hates them. Now after Christian left, Duke haters really dislike JJ Redick. Coach K even thinks fans dislike JJ more than Christian.
You know, JJ got it worse. I think JJ got it the worst of anybody who's ever played at Duke.
But when Christian left, maybe John Shire was going to take over as the next Duke player hated by fans. But he was too nice of a guy and kinda shy. And due to the one and done era, which is another reason people hate Duke, and I'll mention that, guys like Austin Rivers, Jabari Parker, Jahlil Okafor, and Marvin Bagley just weren't there long enough to get on everyone's nerves. But during the 2015 national championship, this freaking guy comes off the bench out of nowhere and starts going off for Duke, when basically everyone in the nation wanted Wisconsin to win besides, oddly, Kentucky and Duke fans. Never thought those two would agree on something. But anyway, this freaking kid comes off the bench and starts acting like he's hot shit. And of course, he had to stay at Duke for 4 years. So congratulations, Grayson Allen. Welcome to your tape.
Good evening, Twitter. This is your boy, Eat That Pussy 445.
But Grayson Allen wasn't the best player in the sport, and every year he was surrounded by a new team. But his attitude on the sideline and him tripping players not once, not twice, but 3 times really irked people. And even his future teammates wanted a shot at this guy.
Activity better be strong with the ball because Louisville is turning their defense into off.
But Grayson haters got the last laugh because his game-winning shot to get Duke to the Final Four went in and went out. So for once in sports, the bad guy didn't get off the hook every time. Now another reason I think people hate Duke is the fans. I would say about 90% of Duke fans never even went to Duke, and I would say about 90% of them couldn't even get into Duke. Okay, I guess I mean 89%. And most people hate bandwagon fans. Now myself, I don't care who you like. As long as you like sports and can talk about them, you're good in my book. but obviously it bothers some people. But in reality, Duke is hated because they are the punching bag of their specific sport. Every sport has them and most people don't like them. Now there is always two sides to every story, so I have to mention the good things about Duke. Oh, there aren't any? Okay, got it. So my final verdict is pretty simple. You keep winning and getting all the good players, people are not going to like you. And that's what Duke has been. The last time they didn't get a player in the top 3 of the ESPN 100 was 2012. And 2012 is not as close as we all still think. And this year they decided to really say F you to college basketball fans, and they decided to get the entire top 3 all together. Even though they're all basically the same height and play the same freaking position. But for Duke, they have a coach who comes across as someone who people kiss the ground he walks on, and the only time you can talk to him is when you are called on. Now I'm not a Coach K hater, but anyone who comes across like that always has me skeptical. And did I forget to mention that they get all the best players and win? So that is exactly why people hate Duke.
I call the shots, I run the bulls, I'm Michael Jordan. Hit it with a little bit of push and a little bit of pull when a goddamn mic recording. I bring the heat, I rep the east, I'm like the Celtics. I don't even know what to do with the gold that I get, bitch, I'm Michael Phelps. I'm like LeBron, I get the gold, I'm Sherry Khan, you'll carry bronze. I'm Randy Moss, I'm Mary Khan, my game on Royce, I'm Barry Bonds.